Good evening, James Whitlow, Delano.
Good evening to you as well.
Thank you very much for being with us at Médias en Seine. Just a few short explanations. We were supposed to have this exhibition here at the Maison de la Radio in Paris for Médias en Seine, but because, as you know, of the sanitary situation, we were forced to cancel the exhibition. So we decided to have this interview with you from Tokyo. Thank you very much for being with us to show your work, some of your work, and to explain your work to our listeners and viewers. Maybe we will be able to show this exhibition next year somewhere in Paris to show this wonderful work that was exposed in Visa pour l'Image last September in Perpignan. This is a huge work that you've been doing for many years. Just to explain, you're a photojournalist based in Japan, in Tokyo. You've been working on several issues among the years in Asia, in China, Japan, Afghanistan, Burma, for example, published 4 wonderful books. And last year, you decided to show this exhibition in Visa pour l'Image about plastic. All your exhibition is about plastic. How did it started in your mind before seeing the pictures? How did it started this work on plastic?
Well, being here in East Asia, it's a particularly acute problem here. For many years, I'd be documenting in places like Borneo in the rainforest, even Okinawa, and I would find PET bottles, drink bottles from China, even Vietnam, and it started to build that way, and I began photographing what I was seeing and acting as a canary in the coal mine to warn people about what is going on in this part of the world. And
the situation where you live in Japan was, even in your daily life, becoming critic from what you saw in the shops, in the streets. You were confronted to this issue of plastic in your basic daily life in Tokyo.
Even to this day. Japan does a fair amount of recycling, but their consumption of plastic is tremendous by overwrapping. As you mentioned, I went into a FYI store, do-it-yourself store, DIY, and I just noticed literally almost everything was either plastic, wrapped in plastic, or had plastic components.
Okay, let's start to see your pictures. We will start with the one first picture that I want to show you, and maybe we can have your explanation. Do you see it as well? Where was this picture taken?
This was one of the most epic places I've ever been. It was La Rinconada in Peru. This was 5,200 meters elevation. It should be a pristine, beautiful place, but over 30,000 artisanal miners work there. There's no place for the garbage to go. In fact, when you enter the town, you have to drive through a open-air landfill site at 5,000 meters. So they're literally, as you can see, just walking through plastic. And so nowhere on the planet is free from plastic.
What will this plastic become, the one we see on this picture in Peru? I mean, is there a plan to remove it? Is there something happening? Or is it too early?
No. I hate to be pessimistic, but I believe what will happen is it will just break down slowly into microplastics, seep into the ground, and there are toxins in the plastic. Some of it will wash down to Lake Titicaca, the great lake of the Andes that people depend on for water, millions of people.
So this plastic could go into the soil and in the water and harm people in the years to come, while drinking basically water infected, as if we can say that, by the plastic.
True, and also fish will mistake it for food. It will look like their food, so their stomachs will fill with the toxins, with the plastic. It will not pass through their bodies, and many fish and birds are actually starving because of the accumulation of plastic in their bodies.
Let's move to another picture, the second one I wanted to show you and to explain. Where is this one taken?
This is La Parola slum in Manila. It's the Tondo part, and this is actually before the war on drugs, but this is exactly where it was going on. Oftentimes when I work someplace, I'll go during the day. I'll see if there are families around because there are gangs in this area. And I determined I could go there safely and meet people and talk to them. This all washes down from the Pasig River. And I believe it's 6 or 7 out of the 10 rivers that contribute most ocean plastic are in Asia. So the Pasig River has gotten better, but it was anaerobic 20 years ago when I first saw it. But the plastic is still accumulating there. And in fact, nearby, there's an entire area called Happy Land. Mm-hmm. And Happy Land is a de facto recycling area of the slum. It creates business there.
And what the reason for so much plastic in this area? Is it only a question of high density of population in the area?
Yes and no. A big problem in places like the Philippines or Thailand, et cetera, is that 30 years ago, this sort of refuse would have been banana leaves or bamboo. Okay. Containers, natural containers, and now it's plastic.
Okay. Let's see a third picture, if we can. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah, okay. I let you explain.
Well, this is the same location, and I went back to this, but I was moved because the children are starting fires with plastic and PCBs and the incredibly toxic fumes that come out of it. But literally, when you walk on this beach, it's cushioned by the plastic. It's so deep. And they're also susceptible to ocean surges from typhoons. So this is a very difficult place for them to live.
So it's not a beach anymore. It's not a beach anymore. Well, it's a plastic beach, right?
Exactly. It's a river mouth. So, but there are places literally in that part of Philippines, of Manila, that you cannot see the water for the plastic. It looks like land, but it's actually floating plastic.
And so children are playing in that area.
Yes, these are their found toys. Where in cleaner places we might play with sticks or whatever we find that is from the natural world. This is what they find, and they play with it. They're just children. They're normal in many ways, except for that.
Is Philippines one of the world's worst places that you've been visited for this work?
Visually, it's the worst. I believe China is number 1, Indonesia number 2. India and the Philippines, visually, the plastic is so apparent, and a lot has to do with the inequity of income. So they have massive slums, and they tend to be in river mouths, and the plastic just accumulates in these places.
Okay. We'll move to the last picture I want you to explain. This one is very impressive with this monkey on the right, but what is it exactly?
So this is speaking of India. India is a wonderful country, but this is Agra, where the Taj Mahal is, and this is one of the tributaries to the Yamuna River, which is a holy river, and it feeds into the Ganga River, the Ganges. So this is draining the old city of Agra, and it was really, honestly, a horrible place to be. Open sewage, and these monkeys are surviving on handouts and what they can scavenge from this plastic, and their health definitely suffers from this.
So basically, what you say is that this scene is not far from very touristical places where when there was tourists in India and the world was traveling, but that's not far from places where you see the incredible clean India with wonderful landscapes, buildings, and things like that. It's not far from there.
Not far at all, and it's also not far from incredibly beautiful traditional Indian buildings that are being demolished all over, but they just happen to be in a contaminated area. So in a way, it's quite beautiful and quite tragic at the same time.
Did James, your work, when people see it, I mean, I saw the reactions of the people in Perpignan, for example, but do you see any kind of awakening of the population, the world population, not only, of course, because of your work, even if your work is essential, but the work of some journalists, photojournalists, and NGOs and things like that. Do you see a kind of awakening, or is the situation still desperate?
I have hope, actually, because people are beginning to recycle. We're becoming aware of the damage we're doing, and people are making concrete steps to replace plastic. Plastic is such a diverse and useful material that we'll never get rid of it. It's a matter of what happens when it's no longer of use. So that's a problem. In the developing world, it's a bigger challenge, but countries all over the world, developing world included, are starting to replace plastic bags, plastic straws. The consciousness is real and palpable. So I am beginning to feel hopeful.
Wow, thank you. It's hope for all of us. One last question, James. You are the founder also of a very interesting account on Instagram called Everyday Climate Change. Can you explain us what it is? Because a lot of people will probably go on it and see what it is. But can you explain us what was the idea at the beginning and what it became?
Well, the genesis of it was that I wanted to create a platform that pooled together the abilities of photographers to do what one person couldn't. So I brought together photographers on 6 continents documenting climate change locally on 7 continents. And it's been a wonderful project. It started in 2015. I'm actually inviting environmentalists in. If someone would like to see, this week we have Rainforest Connection, who are putting old smartphones in trees in the rainforest to record the unique audio patterns of chainsaws and trucks, so that maybe we can't see illegal logging, but we can hear it.
So the idea is to...
It's a wonderful project.
Yeah, it's a wonderful project. And I saw what you're talking about on the rainforest. It's incredibly to see and to hear. Is it becoming a kind of platform, a world platform, to share experiences, projects on these climate projects from not only photographers and journalists, but also from NGOs and things like that?
For me, that's the next project, is to bring in like-minded people to share the projects they're doing. And when we get COVID behind us, hopefully there'll be a vaccine soon, we'll start exhibiting what we've been doing as well. But I like the week-long addressing of a single issue because it allows to dig down deeper.
Thank you very much, Whitlow Delano. It's a wonderful account to see on Instagram, and I also invite our viewers and listeners to go to your own website, where there are wonderful informations and, of course, wonderful pictures. And as soon as we will be able, as you said, when COVID will be behind us, we will have this exhibition of your wonderful and sometimes scary work on plastic in Paris. Thank you so much, Whitlow Delano.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye and good night in Japan.
Good night. Bye-bye, Reggie.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.